by its diversity. While this diversity has always had an impact on the arts and culture of our community, recently it has been the cornerstone of unparalleled economic growth that has seen Miami begin to emerge as a true global city. Take, for example, the Port of Miami Tunnel project, which when completed will land billions of dollars in cargo to our shores, increasing job creation and allowing downtown Miami to reach new heights as a center for international business, culture, and residential living and tourism. Port of Miami's new tunnel is only one example of the incredible growth of our local economy and evolution of our community. The world-class Adrian Arch Center for the Performing Arts. Thank you, Adrian, again. The newly inaugurated Perez Art Museum, the PAM, the ongoing high-profile luxury retail project at Brickell City Center, Miami's growing design district, and obviously also our #1 nationally ranked Baskin Palmer Eye Institute are only some of the examples of the continued tradition of excellence throughout our region. Much of this growth has been made possible only by Miami's unique appeal to foreign investors and international consumers. My firm, Morrison Brown Argiz and Farah, is headquartered here in Miami, the unofficial capital of Latin America. Standing at the crossroads of international trade from Europe and Asia with the Caribbean, Central, and South America, our growth parallels that of Miami as an international center. In my mind, there's absolutely no question the continued globalization of the world's economies is allowing more and more of our clients to easily do business across borders and across oceans. Miami and all of South Florida is creating an environment friendly to international business, particularly in the financial sector. Today, Miami has the largest concentration of foreign banks in the United States outside of New York. Our area is not only home to many international banking organizations from Latin America, but also from Spain, Russia, and other countries in Asia and Europe that are opening branches in the regions where visitors from their countries tend to visit and relocate. As many of you know, Miami-Dade alone, there are 100 international consulates, trade offices, and binational chambers of commerce to support the worldwide flow of goods and services into our area. Our foreign-friendly business environment is also quite evident in real estate development. For example, in 2011, due to the surging real estate prices in Brazil and their currency's 45% gain against the dollar, the highest since 2008, it sent Brazilians en masse to South Florida in search of vacation homes and property investments. Today, we're also seeing many cash buyers coming from Latin America. And also, we've had an increase significantly with the passage of EB-5 legislation. Under EB-5, also known as the Immigrant Investor Program, a visa can be granted to foreign nationals who invest at least $500,000 in a commercial enterprise or project that creates regional jobs or stimulates economic growth. I am thrilled that programs such as Experience America provide you all with the opportunity to see some of these changes firsthand. As a multicultural firm with many backgrounds and diverse experiences, MBAF is proud to show our support of our growing multinational community by sponsoring this event, and I am personally honored to welcome all of you to our city. Next, it's my honor and pleasure to introduce our guest speaker this afternoon, Fred Hochberg. Fred is the chairman and president of the Export-Import Bank of the United States. Mr. Hochberg is a financial leader of vision. In fiscal year 2012, Ex-Im Bank set export finance records in many key areas for their fourth straight year. Overall financing for the first time exceeded $36 billion and supported $50 billion in exports and approximately 255,000 export-related American jobs. Also under his tenure, the bank has increased its focus on customers, both foreign buyers and U.S. exporters. Mr. Hochberg has led the bank in its efforts to grow new markets for U.S. goods and services in emerging economies with growing infrastructures, such as Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, Turkey, India, Indonesia, Vietnam, Nigeria, and South Africa. As head of the Exim Bank, he will play a key role in President Obama's plan to double U.S. exports by the end of this year. Please join me in welcoming a man who recognizes the key role in international markets play in our ongoing economic recovery, Chairman Fred Hochberg.
Is that on? Yeah. Okay. That was so well said, just the way I wrote it. Thank you. So moving. I haven't even been here for a few hours, and I've already gotten a recommendation to pass on to President Obama. The ambassador from Ghana said he asked me to send a message back to the president to move Washington, to move our nation's capital to Miami. Now, for those of us who were in Washington earlier in the week, last week, when it was 5 degrees, got really warm, it got up to 10 degrees. It's very nice to be here in Miami. We only wish this conference was a week ago. We had even a bigger welcome. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about trade, to talk about, and not just trade and the exchange of goods, but about how we can create better partnerships through trade, and create stronger bonds between people. So first, some of my comments here are going to be specifically addressed to the ambassadors who don't normally get to hear us talk about trade here in the United States. So I'm actually going to ask the 35 ambassadors here, I need you to do some work. And what I'd like you to do is, you have a unique way of helping to forge greater trade, greater understanding between our two countries. And so one of the things I'm going to ask you to do in my comments here and then in the Q&A is to work with us on doing so. And Exim can play a key role in that. I want to take my question. 10 years younger. Oh. So I did a little homework before I got here. I took out a little math, and I looked at the 35 countries that are represented. I don't only see 35 countries. I actually saw $3 billion worth of exports that we finance in Exim Bank to those 35 countries. Actually, 11 of the 35 we actually exported goods and services to last year. Germany actually was $1 billion, the largest we've ever done. Germany to manufacture chips at a company called Global Foundries. But the key thing that does is it's creating jobs not only in the United States, 17,000 jobs out of those $3 billion in exports, but, and I know this is true in Germany, it's true in elsewhere, many, many jobs in Germany, in Ghana, and country after country. I also just want to acknowledge my lunch companion, Eduardo Pedrone, whom I met recently. The largest college in the United States, and training students to have a global vision so they can think globally and work globally. So thank you for your work that you do. So again, to the members of the Diplomatic Corps, I want you to think about, because when you're here, yes, you're representing your country, but I think unique about hosting in America is there are so many people who have formerly lived in the countries that you come from that are also living here. And it's a way of connecting with those who have immigrated to the United States and helping and using them and working with them to forge greater ties. And I don't think there is probably another country in the world that provides the ambassadors of the Diplomatic Corps with that unique opportunity. So a little background. The Export-Import Bank was founded in 1934 with one mission, and that is to support and create jobs here in the United States. So we're actually 80 years young this year. Now our name is a little deceiving because we're called the Export-Import Bank. And we certainly do exports, but the only thing we really import is entrepreneurs. We don't do anything in the import world anymore. Now, my family actually came here. My mother, Lillian Vernon, emigrated, left Germany in '33. My grandparents came here in '37, and my mother has said over and over, only an American would should be able to come into this country, they didn't speak a word of English, and start a business and grow a business and build it a great American business. But she's not alone. We have people like Sergey Brin of Google, Andy Grove of Intel, Andrew Newley of Pepsi. I mean, I could go on, and there are many actually right here in this room. I'm going to tell you about one who's not in this room, actually. It's a man named Prem Sharma, came from India in 1981. He has since passed away. His sons and widow run the business. And it's a company called Aquatech, and they make water treatment facilities. And they're located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Came to this country, started the business, exports to the Mideast, to Latin America, even back to India. In fact, he's opened a facility in India. And when I was touring a place called Mamalapuram, and I put that in the speech because it took me a long time to pronounce Mamalapuram. At least 3 months after I got home, I was able to pronounce it. It's a site of beautiful temples. But next to the beautiful temples, I looked and I saw a beautiful water treatment facility by Argiz. So I have a peculiar way of touring around the world these days. I find things that we export as well. But here's a man who came to this country, an engineer, came up with a product and a process that do about $20 million a year, and used the United States to sell products here, but also to export around the world. So our job at the Export-Import Bank is frankly to make exporters, the exporters in this room, and those who I hope our ambassadors will reach out to, make them frankly more successful. And we provide financing, insurance, and a number of other products to do so. Last year, I have more updated information, we gave $27 billion of financing of 3,500 companies, and I should add, 90% of those are small businesses. So, as I said, it's not just about the numbers, but we have financed, and I'm pleased to be sitting at the table with the ambassador from Ghana, a hospital that's being built in Ghana, $155 million hospital, a number of airplanes that have gone to many countries around the world here, locomotives to Kazakhstan, things that change the infrastructure and the economic underpinnings of those countries. So if I talk about Ghana for a minute, as I said, it was $155 million for a hospital that's being constructed. The company actually that's doing the exporting is right here in Miami, America Reed. Same company that's building the tunnel in the port that's going to be open in May. And it's the Ridge Hospital Complex in Accra. It's created many, many jobs in America, but equally important, it's creating many jobs in Ghana. So this is really a partnership. We're creating jobs in the United States and we're creating jobs in the host country. And that's really what we want to do. We're continue looking to make sure that we find ways of expanding and expanding that pie. Another company we work with right here in Miami, a company called Demitech. I don't know if Luis is here, not yet. Luis Orgeo came from Nicaragua, started this business. They sell surgical toothpicks, which is used like when you get stitches in surgery. 90% of his sales are exported. Since working with Exim Bank, his business has grown 4 and 5 times. Went from 45 employees to 100. And we help him export to places that are hard to export to. Places like, he sells medical supplies to places Syria, Iraq, Egypt. Places that our financing, our insurance can help make those sales happen. So that's some of the things. What we're trying to do is, as you all know, 95% of the world's customers live outside our borders. And what we're working with American companies, and I will talk in a minute about foreign companies, to export to those places. One of the foreign companies we work with is Siemens. We do a lot of work with Siemens. Their headquarters for their energy business is just up in Orlando. They have a facility they have built in North Carolina, in Charlotte. We financed over $650 million worth of power turbines that were shipped to Saudi Arabia. As far as we're concerned, we're indifferent at the Export-Import Bank who owns the company. We're concerned about where the jobs are, where the work is being done. So Siemens is a very good company. In fact, the chairman of Siemens will be speaking at our annual conference later this spring. So It's about creating jobs in America, it's about creating jobs overseas. And if we think about it, and we give a lot of thought about this at XM, if countries and people build things together, they build things together, they create a value system, they create a reliance on each other, they create a partnership, and people and countries value what they do together. So I think that whether it's surgical supplies or power plants, doing things together will make those bonds stronger. And frankly, amongst the best of friends, we often go through difficult times. And trade can help smooth that over, because there are other interests at heart besides political or strategic, but they are commercial and they're also human. So, as I said at the beginning, I do have a request for each and every one of the ambassadors that I am looking to help forge those trade relationships with your country. I think one place to start with the people from your country who have emigrated here. So I'm here today with Sharon Koenig, who raised her hand, who's with our Miami office, Elena Mendez. You can see them or me right after lunch. I'm going to put them to work. So if you would like, we did do an event like this. There's a large Indonesian population in Los Angeles. We went out, we spent time with the ambassador and the Indonesian community and are looking to find ways to help them export back home. For every transplanted immigrant, every immigrant who's come to this country, they can start a business, they can start exporting back to their brother, their sister, their in-laws. There's ways to begin that trade. It will enhance small business connections and much more people to people. So I think we can create more jobs, we can create better connections between the United States and countries around the world, and we can improve the economic lives of people, we can put more people back to work, and I think if we make the world just a little bit better, we'll all done our job. So thank you for giving me the time to speak today, and I think I have some time for questions.
Floor is open, yes, sir. I'll do a happy hour 2 in 1. Thank you. First,
We do finance airplanes.
yeah, right. I've been in that for many years ago.
Private enterprise. The new promised zones that Mr. Obama was raising 5 ones. First, is Exim Bank going to be involved in this? And second,
A lot of
the
the
private companies, when they look to invest in some of our countries, and if you go back to symptom and problem, really a country that doesn't comply with the Millennium Goals of the nation, probably in 15 years we'll have a problem. So sometimes the cost of labor and all that is not as important as political risk, or whatever you call that risk. Your insurance that you've mentioned a few times, what does it cover? An account receivable from that country, or that the government takes over the, what does that include?
The insurance that we offer at Exort Bank is comprehensive. It includes political, credit, the full range of insurance. So when a company like Demitech is shipping to overseas, we provide, they can insure their receivable for 30 days, 60, 90 days, and it's for all costs.
capital investment.
We don't know, because we're about credit experts. So if it's capital investment, we have something called the Overseas Private Investment Corporation.
My question to you is, from a foreign policy perspective, from where you sit, where do you see the United States posturing itself geopolitically to sort of compete in this new space that's seemingly reoriented itself in today's world?
Well, there are a lot of questions, and I'll try and thread that needle. China is a very formidable competitor, without question. Since President Obama was elected, we have more than doubled the size of Exim Bank, and I want to make sure that when companies need financing, if financing is what's going to stand between making a sale and not making a sale, we will step in and find a way to make it work. That's not an overall guarantee, but if financing is the one thing that would make a sale happen, we'll figure out a way that we can work with the American exporter and do that. Now, our system is frankly just more based on the private sector. We want to have a light footprint, not a heavy footprint. China has a very different way of doing business. But They are formidable competitors. I was in Sub-Saharan Africa with President Obama last summer, and I was in Dar es Salaam, and I drive around, and what do I see? I see a 60,000 seat soccer stadium that is a quote-unquote gift from the Chinese government. That's a nice gift, but it's not really just a gift. So that's just not how we do business in the United States. We want to really make sure the private sector takes the lead. We want to make sure the private sector competes, but we're going to make sure that if financing is an issue, and sometimes it's coming financing against a Chinese, but frequently it could be a Korean competitor, or Japanese, or Russian. China is one, but there are many other very aggressive countries overseas that are pursuing an export strategy. And frankly, in country after country around the world, which is why I talk about the jobs we'll create in your countries by these exports, we want to make sure that there's a fairness, that jobs are not only created here, but also created in Trinidad and Tobago and in other countries. And sometimes some other countries are very happy that they will actually export the workers and then leave them behind as well. So sometimes that's not the same fair trade agreement.
Thank you very much. I'm the ambassador for the Commonwealth of Dominica, and my question very much is on the theme that the ambassador for Trinidad and Tobago raised. But I'm not talking about China. I'm simply talking about an area where economic activities are available, opportunities are available, where the culture is in essence the same, where the language is the same, where I think opportunities for tighter integration between the Caribbean and Latin America and the United States are begging, are there. You mentioned the challenge of increasing exports to the Caribbean. But I think you will agree that if you have the capacity to export, you will have the capacity to import. They're one of the same thing. They're two sides of the same coin. So for me, we would love it if Import-Export Bank were to give consideration to a stronger presence in the Caribbean, knowing, number one, that your investments are safe. The legal framework is there. And once those exports are there and they generate the type of economic activity that we are speaking about, then we have a better capacity to import, as we incidentally already do. Because I think if you look at any of the areas, you will see that the weight of the balance of trade is actually already in favor of the United States. We're asking for participation, actually. And thank you very much for your presentation. It was excellent.
And I think, if I can add, one of the reasons that President Obama launched the National Export Initiative was to not only double exports, but to engage. I was in business for 20 years, and many companies in America, they feel when they've exhausted the U.S. market, then they'll look overseas. Now that's changing. Company after company I meet, I'm going to be going up to North Carolina on Wednesday. A young woman there named Jenny Fulton started a pickle jarring business. And she came to a presentation like this and she decided, I'm going to export to at least one country. She's now exporting to China, Britain, Saudi Arabia, UAE. Company does $500,000 a year. Sharon actually sold the insurance policy to her. So she said, wait a second, I'm not going to wait until I build the U.S. market. I'm going to start exporting and learn on day one because I'm going to be a global business. I'm not just going to be a North Carolina business. So I think that's what, one of the things the President wants to do is have more people in the United States think more globally.
We have time for
One more question. Is there one more question from the audience? This young lady right down here.
She asked the tough questions, I know. Uh-oh.
Oh, no, this is a very easy one. Hello, my name is Deborah Lovell and I am the ambassador of Antigua and Barbuda. You alluded in your presentation to the question of infrastructural development, and I would want to know the specifics in terms of getting the interest of the bank to invest or to give insurance policies for those interested in infrastructural development in the Caribbean, Antigua, Barbuda.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Again, we follow the exporters. So, for example, I know a recent example, the Dominican Republic in the Caribbean. A road was built. It was done by Hochberg, the Brazilian infrastructure firm. but all the design, all the engineering, the legal work, the insurance came from the United States. We financed that portion, and Hochberg and the Brazilians financed some of the other portions. So we can, on long-term projects, be it road projects, mining, there's a lot of oil and gas in Trinidad and Tobago. Those are the kinds of projects that we can do. We've done some ports. So if a developer is coming to your country and is looking to put that in place, we can provide the financing to that developer. It's project specific. So in other words, if there's a specific project that's going there and they're looking for financing, we can support it as long as the products or services come from the U.S. And I should just emphasize in closing, it's frequently in services. It can be legal, design, architecture, engineering, the full range of all of those are exports to the United States.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me to that.
Thank you very much, and thank you for everyone who joined us here. It's an honor and a privilege for us to have you in the room, and we welcome you again to Miami and hope that you have a fabulous time here and you come back very often and be with us. So on behalf of the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce, Morrison Brown, Argiz, and Farrah, and our good friends at Baptist Health South Florida, we thank you all for being here today. Have a pleasant day.